And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this exciting broadcast today on the 18th day of September. And we're looking out the window today. It is partly cloudy here in Brisbane, but it is quite comfortable, even though the temperature currently is 23 degrees. But looking out, it is looking very, very nice. So, well, moving on, let's get on with the news for today because we have got quite a lot to talk about. There's some very, very important functions and events which I'd like to talk to you about as well, and what's happening out there in the community as well. So, with these border closures, how is it impacting the students?
For more than 30 years, Wiltshire College in Adelaide's north has been helping educate kids from the state's remote APY lands. The boarding school is Unangu run, and these children could be part of the next class.
Adendalkana is just the one school, and definitely not as many as opportunities as we've got here at Wiltshire.
At the start of 2020, the college had 40 students. Now it has just 4.
The APY lands was in lockdown for 3 months and in a great state of fear, understandably. And so we were shut.
Lockdowns and a sluggish vaccine rollout have posed an extra layer of stress.
I was worried about not going home.
And have you been able to go back?
Yeah, but we've been quarantined in Alice Springs.
2 decades ago, less than half of young Indigenous adults had completed Year 12. Now, more than 2/3 have. Over the same period, there's been a steady rise in the number of Indigenous kids going to boarding schools. But since the pandemic began, enrolment numbers have dropped off. Some are worried that'll dent the country's progress in closing the gap in Indigenous education.
If a child isn't attending school in the city for their secondary education, are they attending their local school in the bush?
The federal government has put $16 million on the table to help Indigenous majority boarding schools cope with COVID.
$16 million is a pittance. If it's about travel, fine. But that's not the issue. The issue is convincing families, reassuring families that the vaccination is safe, that going to school, going to education, going to boarding is not going to be a dangerous place to go.
Wiradjuri woman and academic Jessa Rogers thinks the money could be better spent closer to home.
The words choice and opportunity are often used in the context of boarding schools, but there really is little choice for students that don't have a local high school to attend.
Right now, these kids, like many around the country, are making difficult choices.
I miss my family and my country. Things are going to change and I'm going to get used to it, so yeah.
Determined to paint their own future. Sarah Temevska, ABC News, Adelaide.
As the kid said, they will miss their things, and it is very hard, touching to look at kids and, well, looking at all those things that people will need to change, people will need to adapt. Where has the life as we knew it gone? Well, these are signs of the times. Well, what about the 7-day home quarantine? How is that going to fare out? What sort of effect will it have on the community?
Hotel rooms are not designed to contain such a highly infectious agent as Delta, for example, or even any other strain, quite frankly. Every case that has occurred after March last year when we had the lockdown has been directly or indirectly related to breaches around the program and mostly from hotels. So I think this is a great initiative. I'm interested to know that they've used 7 days, and I know that, for example, Delta being 50 to 60 times more infectious than the Wuhan, the original strain, does have a shorter incubation period. But I'm interested about 7 days because we think that quarantine usually goes for twice an average incubation period. And for Delta, it's about 5 days. So I would have thought maybe they'll trial 10 days to see if a week is safe in double-dosed vaccinated people, but I think it's a really good initiative.
Okay, just being provocative here, double-dose vaccinated people, why do they even need to quarantine at all?
Well, because sadly, even with double dosing, you can have infection. You may not go to hospital, you may not die, but you can carry infection because vaccines aren't 100% protection against infection. Certainly, they're up into the 90s for preventing hospitalization and death, but not infection. And interestingly, a lot of people who don't have that high level of protection against infection at around, it's about high 70s for Pfizer with Delta and 60 odd for AstraZeneca can get silent infection or asymptomatic. So they can come into Australia and appear to be well, but in fact their viral load is about 1,000 times higher than we've ever seen before with any other strain. So they're highly infectious. There was a Singapore study that showed that, in fact, if you've been double vaccinated, you do get rid of that viral load very fast, but you still can cause infection. So you still do need some sort of quarantine because you may be tested instant that you arrive, and I hope they're going to be doing that. But then, of course, you may have caught it on the way home. So you need to give yourself a couple of days at home, apart from getting over jet lag, making sure you haven't inadvertently brought anything with you. So I'm hoping that they'll use home kit testing to test every day so that you
can entire infectious period. So we know that if we hadn't have been able to do that with all of these cases, we'd have a major outbreak. So thank you yet again. And please come and get vaccinated, but also continue to come and get tested. At this stage, we still need people with the slightest of symptoms to come forward and get tested so we can find that first case in an outbreak, immediately contact trace, because we know Delta can spread so rapidly, immediately contact trace and get people into quarantine. And I thank all of those people who are there in quarantine. This is tough, particularly for those kids who'd normally be on school holidays and out and about with their friends, and now they're in quarantine, having to stay at home. So thank you to every single one of those people who've just done absolutely the right thing, knowing though that it is a very tough thing to do. So thank you very much to all those people. So yes, keep coming forward, keep getting vaccinated, and we will use up every dose of vaccine that we possibly can. Thank you.
Look, if you're going to come out today, instead of protesting, how about lining up for vaccination instead? That's what we need. We need to ensure that our economy can open up, that we can protect our community. Those who champion freedom, then there is no better freedom than having everyone vaccinated so that our economy can be fully operational again, that we can open our borders, that we can open our international borders. So my message to protesters is today is not the day to be going out and to be arguing against the vaccination or our response to COVID. That response has kept us safe. We have over 40,000 positive cases. I think it's over 45,000 positive cases now out of New South Wales from one person 3 months ago. That has now led to infections in the ACT, in Victoria and in New Zealand, all from one case back on the 16th of June. So we know how bad this can get. And I hope that these protesters understand that what we are trying to do here is simply keep everyone safe and to ensure that we can enjoy our lifestyle again by fully opening up.
Minister, how many walk-in doses were there at Logan, and what time did this start being reckoned?
So I understand they've factored in for around 2,000 today. I am seeing if we can source more vaccine already to see if we can get some to that site for today. They'll be open, they're still open, they're still vaccinating people as we speak, and of course all the people who have got bookings there today, but they are saying to people in the line that we are going to run out of supply at that site at the moment, and so we are asking them to go to other sites like Mount Bowen, but we are seeing if we can source more supply. We still only have a certain amount of supply across the entire state. It is not enough to offer every single Queenslander a vaccine yet. But if you can't get vaccinated today, rest assured, we will make sure that we are giving people opportunity. We want to see Queensland vaccinated as quickly as possible. Sorry.
How many totally are on offer this weekend? Is it?
Look, we didn't want to set ourselves an absolute target. The target I've set for every one of our community hubs is every dose you have on hand on that site today, I want gone. I don't want any leftovers. And if the demand is so high that we need to try to get more stock overnight, then we'll aim to do that. We still have to keep some stock on hand for all the bookings that we've got coming up, particularly until the next lot of supply arrives. And people who have bookings over the next week or two, rest assured we will have enough vaccine for you to get your booking. But we are going to try to get as much as we possibly can out the door. Look, we've been averaging around 15 to 20,000 vaccines over a weekend. We want to see that number more than double this weekend. Yeah. So look, we're working through how we might further strengthen the freight protocol. Department of Transport and Main Roads were going back to the industry stakeholders yesterday afternoon to just talk about some of the ideas that we have. We want to make sure that we're balancing the safety of the community with the safety of the drivers. The drivers need to be able to stop and have rest breaks. They need to be able to get out of their cabs and move around. It is not good for them to spend every minute of the day, including every meal, sitting in that cab. We understand that fatigue is a really very serious issue when it comes to our drivers on the road and our freight drivers. So we want to make sure they're safe, they're getting proper breaks, and so we're just working through how that might work. Look, I really want to see us land any decisions around any changes to the protocol by the end of the weekend, so hopefully Monday.
Minister, what do you say to the family of Brendan Watson, whose story was revealed today?
Oh, look, this is, it's really sad and distressing. Suicide is a very complex and a very sad outcome for anyone, and we know that suicide leaves behind many, many victims. And our deepest condolences go to the family and friends. This was something that happened in July last year. I understand it did go to the coroner at the time. We're not aware of a finding.
Dave, as we know, that vaccinations and Boondall Entertainment Centre has been turned into one as well, which is good to see that, you know, the resources that we have, the facilities that we have are being used to the maximum and have been put to some very good use. This is what's needed in this time. Well, what else is needed in this time? People say that, farming, people planting all the kinds of foods, but these days, the new trend, edible flowers. Let's take a look.
The final touches go on to pastries in this Garden City cafe.
So the ones that I chose for this year are little violas, little lanarias of different colours, and also fuchsias, which I don't have here, but they're like the dancing ladies. Very, very, very festive.
During Toowoomba's Carnival of Flowers, the blooms aren't confined to garden beds and vases. Local cafes and restaurants are making sure they're serving up a taste of spring too.
There's a little bit of a comedy that happens when people are like, okay, do we eat this bit? Like, it's too pretty to eat. So it's up to personal preference, but they are edible, and they're there for the pop of celebration, the pop of colour.
The growing popularity of edible flowers has led to a change in direction for a nearby Lockyer Valley farm.
We used to grow cherry tomatoes in these igloos, and we found that they weren't as profitable as before. The market had changed, so we switched to edible flowers. The visual impact of the crop's quite striking. It's actually very nice to be able to grow something that looks as nice as that.
It's a labour-intensive crop, and a comfortable stool is a must during harvest, when up to 1,000 punnets a day are packed.
All the flowers are handpicked, and it needs to be done delicately and precisely because you need to select to make sure that the flower is in good condition and that there are no marks with it.
COVID lockdowns interstate have led to a drop-off in demand for edible flowers. So for now, the focus is on restaurants closer to home. But the Hughes family is exploring export opportunities for the future, hoping to fly their blooms all the way to Singapore, giving garden lovers the opportunity to stop, smell and eat the flowers. Lucy Cooper, ABC News, Toowoomba.
Edible flowers and they do look very, very good there, as they say. You know, when you're looking at something to eat, one of the 3 points is the look, that it must look good, smell good, taste good. So right now we'll go back to the New South Wales and let's take a look at the new home quarantine trial that's going to be put out.
Breathing the spring air is a luxury many in hotel quarantine can't enjoy. But thanks to a dodgy air conditioner, Kathy Reid was upgraded to a room with views of Brisbane and a balcony.
The overwhelming relief in actually getting fresh air, it really is indescribable. It's really, really hard not to have fresh air for 2 weeks. It's awful.
So isolating at home, she says, would be amazing.
Particularly for people who've been vaccinated and test negative multiple times. Hotel quarantine is an unnecessarily blunt instrument when there are so many other alternatives.
175 fully vaccinated overseas arrivals will have the chance in New South Wales.
Families, singles, older people, younger people, people in different forms of work. This is a trial and it's about testing different types of accommodation, apartments and homes.
Regular tests are still required and police could drop by at any time. The Premier promises a rapid rollout if the pilot's a success.
We'll work very quickly to scale up. I think we've demonstrated our capacity to make a trial become reality very soon.
We can't stay closed forever. We've got to be able to learn what happens when we put people into home-based quarantine.
It'll use the same app that South Australia's already testing. Facial recognition technology and a geolocator will ensure people are staying put.
The first day or so, I was really focused on making sure I didn't let the phone out of my sight, but then it just became part of a routine.
That state's program is being expanded to include international travellers. Further south, Tasmania will soon welcome vaccinated residents from regional New South Wales, as long as they can guarantee they'll have a place to themselves for a fortnight.
It's been challenging and I know that many people have been frustrated, but it's time to bring Tasmanians home and we're going to do everything we can over coming weeks to do that.
Experts are on board with eventually checking out of hotel quarantine.
Symptoms such as anger, stress, depression. So I think the comfort of your own home is certainly going to help that.
There's no point having less COVID for people in quarantine than there is actually out in the community.
Today's announcement was an important step in reopening New South Wales to the world. The state government says it not only wants to help stranded Aussies get home for Christmas, but also welcome international tourists. Jeremy?
Kathleen, the cap on overseas arrivals is still a barrier to that happening. What's the government saying about that?
The Tourism Minister says he doesn't want those caps in place a day longer than necessary. But first, we have to reach those vaccination targets. People taking part in the pilot are within current caps.
Kathleen.
So there you are, looking at that cap and reaching that target. Well, right now it's time to go to our daily India report. And with that, let's welcome Ankita.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you glimpses of the changing India and the growing engagement of the Indian diaspora with India. In our first story, India sets up a so-called bad bank to help clean out the mess created by a humongous pile of bad loans, creating non-performing assets of nearly $27 billion. India has set up a bad bank for a major cleanup of bad loans in the banking system. The Indian Cabinet of Ministers on 16 September 2021 cleared a 5-year guarantee program of just over $4 billion for securities to be issued by the newly incorporated bad bank for taking over and resolving non-performing assets amounting to nearly 27 billion US dollars. The Reserve Bank of India is in the process of granting a license for the National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. Toxic assets worth 12 billion US dollars with other banks will move to the NARCL. The government wants to finish the process it started in 2015 to clean up bad loans. The NARCL will acquire assets by making an offer to the lead bank. Private sector asset reconstruction firms may also be allowed to outbid the NARCL. Separately, public and private lenders will combine forces to set up an India Debt Resolution Company that will manage these assets and try to raise their value for final resolution. Once the NARCL and the IDRC have finally resolved the asset, preferably not through liquidation proceedings, the balance 85% held as security receipts would be given to the banks. The government steps in only to pay the gap between the realized value and the face value of those receipts, and for only 5 years, said Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Public sector banks will have a 50% ownership in the NARCL, while their shareholding along with that of public sector financial institutions will be capped at 49% for the IDRC. Private lenders bringing in the rest of the equity capital. Some 16 banks, including private players, would put up about 800 million US dollars as equity for the NARCL. Indian and Chinese foreign ministers meet on the sidelines of the 21st SCO meeting to indicate talks are ongoing to resolve the military standoff on the border in Ladakh. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Tajikistan on 16th September on the sidelines of the 21st SCO meeting of the head of states. The two ministers exchanged views on the current situation along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh and also on global developments. Dr. Jaishankar mentioned progress was being made since their last meeting on 14th July. The Indian minister noted some progress on resolving issues along the LAC in eastern Ladakh and disengagement in Gogra area was completed. But some outstanding issues that needed to be resolved. In their last meeting, both sides noted that bilateral relations were at low ebb, and prolonging the existing situation was not in the interest of either side. The ministers agreed that military and diplomatic officials of the two sides should meet again and continue their discussions to resolve the remaining issues at the earliest. Fans and the Bharatiya Janata Party celebrate the 71st birthday of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Indian Prime Minister turned 71 on 17th September 2021, and his fans and the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party arranged events across India to mark the occasion. Modi has conveyed to his party workers that he would like to dedicate the day to create a record of maximum COVID-19 vaccine inoculations. BJP said they will start a 21-day Seva and Samarpan campaign. Modi is in the third year of his second consecutive term as Prime Minister and has repeatedly emphasized the motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas in governance. He is the first Prime Minister to be born after independence. He has also been the longest-serving Chief Minister of Gujarat, with his term spanning from October 2001 to May 2014. He will achieve another milestone next month as he completes 20 years in public office on October 7th. He led the Bharatiya Janata Party to record wins in the 2014 and 2019 elections, securing an absolute majority on both occasions. India underlines the importance of Quad despite a new AUKUS partnership in the Indo-Pacific. India on September 17th stressed that the Quad summit is extremely important. The Indian government has chosen not to comment on the formation of a new trilateral security partnership announced between Australia, the UK and the US called AUKUS, focused on the Indo-Pacific region with an eye on countering China. The AUKUS alliance was announced during a virtual meeting between US President Joe Biden, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison on September 15th. Morrison also spoke with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Australian Defence Minister Peter Dutton spoke on the phone with Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. It is learned that Australian Foreign Minister Marise Payne too spoke with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said all Quad partners attach a lot of importance to the summit that is being held despite the COVID-19 issues. The White House said AUKUS is aimed to deepen the diplomatic, security and defense cooperation of the three countries in the Indo-Pacific region, including working with partners to meet the challenges of the 21st century. The three nations also embarked on trilateral collaboration under AUKUS to enhance joint capabilities and interoperability, focusing on cyber capabilities, artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, and additional undersea capabilities. Indian government says that full COVID-19 vaccination remains priority and not booster shots. India says the priority remains to inoculate the entire eligible population with a double dose of COVID-19 vaccine first before looking into a possible booster shot of the coronavirus vaccines. The Union Health Ministry said that Kerala is showing a decreasing trend in daily cases, while a few states, including Mizoram, are becoming a cause of concern. The ministry also cautioned against a spike in coronavirus infections and stressed that the call of the hour is vaccine acceptance, maintenance of COVID-19 appropriate behavior, responsible travel and limited festivities. 34 districts in the country are reporting a weekly positivity rate of over 10%, and the figure is anything between 5 and 10% in 32 districts. Kerala reported 67.79% of India's total COVID-19 cases last week and remains the only state with more than 100,000 active cases. Balram Bhargav, Director General, Indian Council for Medical Research, said in the coming 2 or 3 months, we need to be cautious that there is no upsurge. He said it is also the period of festivities and therefore requested everyone to be careful and retain the gains that we have achieved in the pandemic management. India is now the 6th biggest stock market in the world. India is now the world's 6th biggest stock market, overtaking France for the first time in market capitalization, with the benchmark Sensex surging more than 23% this year. According to Bloomberg data, India's market cap stood at $3.4055 trillion on Tuesday against $3.4023 trillion in France. India posted the biggest gain in market value this year, adding more than $873.4 billion, or a rise of 35% from $2.52 trillion on 31st December 2020. Indian cricket captain Virat Kohli will step down as T20 international captain after the World Cup in October 2021. Indian captain Virat Kohli on 16th September announced his decision to step down as skipper of the Indian side in T20 following after the 2021 ICC Men's T20 World Cup to be held in the UAE and Oman in October 2021. Kohli, who has played 90 T20s for India, has captained the side in 45 of those matches, leading the side to victory in 27 of them. Kohli will continue to lead the Indian cricket team in ODIs and Test cricket. He cited excessive workload as the reason behind his decision to quit T20 captaincy. Kohli said he has been fortunate enough to not only represent India, but to also lead the Indian cricket team to his utmost capability. The 32-year-old stated that he'd come to the decision after a lot of contemplation and discussions with my close people, as well as the leadership group, including Ravi Shastri, the head coach, and Rohit Sharma, India's limited overs vice captain and BCCI president Saurav Ganguly, and secretary Jai Shah. The BCCI are yet to announce Kohli's successor as captain in the format. Telugu movie fans are in for a treat as Nag Chaitanya Sai Pallavi starrer love story releases 24th September. Telugu star Nag Chaitanya shared the trailer of his upcoming film Love Story with Sai Pallavi. The film is directed by Sekhar Kamulla. The trailer of the film introduced Naga's character Revant, a Zumba instructor by profession. He is a man with a dream to establish his own business. Sai's character Monica is an engineer who is struggling to find a job. Their paths cross when Monica breaks into a dance and leaves Revant in awe. Revant somehow convinces Monica to join his dance academy, and that's how their story begins. The two fall in love, but their path is hardly easy. They face opposition from family because Revant is a struggler and Monica belongs to an upper middle class family. But Revant and Monica are ready to do whatever it takes to be together. Love Story hits the silver screen on September 24th. Naga has in interviews thanked Sai for helping him with complex dance moves in the film. That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report. Thank you for watching.
And thank you very much, Ankita, for that update on our weekend edition. And it is always good to say. Remember, Ankita will be back on Tuesday with the Daily India Report. So the Daily India Report is brought to you by PIO TV, exclusively streamed via Australian Indian Radio from Tuesday through till Saturday. Well, right now it's time for a message from our sponsors.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world. Don't forget that every Wednesday we have the real estate update right here with Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. And on every Thursday we have the travel updates with Tanvi Goyal of Oz India Travel. And once a month we have the Migration Ka Safar, meaning all the migration updates with the expert Suman Dua. So these are some of the hosted programs and the special presentations for you through Australian Indian Radio, streamed via Chentex Multimedia Services. Well, very soon there will be another show coming up as well. It will be very interesting and very much in line with the community needs. So, hoping to announce that very, very soon as it is finalized. And of course, don't forget that daily we have this collaboration now with PIO TV, where we'll bring to you the Daily India Report exclusively prepared for Australian Indian Radio via PIO TV, our friends, the Gupta family from Delhi. Well, right now it's time to say goodbye. Well, look, before we do that, why don't we look at all the functions and events happening in the weekend? But the Daily India Report we will begin from Tuesday. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's been wonderful having your company, and it's been good to have your company throughout the week. And of course, I'd like to thank all the admins of the groups who allow us to share our post via their groups, and all the people who share the post onwards and comment and like, especially like to mention Devika Maharaj, untiring, it's amazing the effort that she puts in. Well, thank you so much for all your support and all your help. And look, if there's anything that you'd like to see on the show, we'd like to, present that. If you have any topic that you wish to discuss, we'd love to have you on the show. You could join us via our video link, a phone link, or if you are able to, come into the studio, which is the preferred method. But of course, we know that it is not always possible. But right now it's time to say goodbye. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. As we know, there's lots of functions and events that are happening. Today we have the citizenship ceremony happening at the Islamic College. And then, of course, we have the Divya Jyoti Jagriti Sansthan with Chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita at the Queensland Vedic Centre from 5 p.m. I would like to see you all there as well, sir. And there's many other functions happening in the weekend. Please, if you're taking part, observe those safety rules and remain safe and have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back on Monday.